RJ Ochoa, welcome, my brother. First of all, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm splendid. 10 days till Christmas. So it's great to be with you guys. Good greetings, jolly, Yule tides, whatever they're called. By the way, how do you rock around the Christmas tree? It's normally in a corner. You know what I mean? Like, how do you rock around it physically?
You can't. Mine's up against the wall.
That's exactly.
You guys don't rock around your Christmas tree?
No, rock or
like
walk.
Is yours in the center of the room?
We do a nightly rock around the Christmas tree. It's an old Thompson tradition.
I believe it. Up on the hill.
He's kidding, RJ. Don't listen to that guy. I don't even know what he's talking about.
Why do you hate Micah Parsons so much, and why would you trade him?
So I saw you guys quote tweet this, and you are part of the percentage. I hate to break it to you guys.
That what?
If you click the tweet, it's part of a thread. There are threaded tweets that respond to it. We have an expert picks, which sounds stupid to call it that at this moment, at SB Nation every week, where the person who does the best gets to write a tweet for the person who does the worst. And I did add that context to the tweet. But,
so it's a joke.
Yeah, it was written by the guy who used to run our San Francisco 49ers site. So, you know, you're not alone. I will say my mentions have been a disaster with people not understanding. I would not trade I would not trade Micah Parsons for eternal happiness for Rudy. I mean, even if it came down to that, I wouldn't do it.
But it's nothing wrong with arguing that Nick Bosa is better.
He's not, though.
But he's not. At the end of the day, I mean, he's really good. Okay, let's focus on things that kind of matter. Okay, so T.Y. Hilton, the thing has been, he's here. Why won't Jerry put OBJ to bed? Why is he still saying, hold on, hang tight? What's the reasoning behind that, you think?
This is one that I can't crack. I really have no idea. I do think that there is this misconception of who Jerry is, right? Like you hit the off season and like, you know, arbitrary big name gets cut. Jerry will pay him. Jerry will give him the biggest contract ever. Like those are misconceptions, but this is very like vintage, you know, SNL level Jerry Jones behavior. And I don't understand why. Like all signs indicate that this is not happening. I will say, you know, everything you hear out of Buffalo, even though they signed Cole Beasley, they're not out of OBJ either. Like they, you know, so maybe this is just a player, a person.
They're not out.
You know,
wow.
That's what the reports are. Okay. They're not out. But I think everybody is focused on 2022, but he represents hope for 2023, and you can't just forfeit that as much as you want to focus on what's going on right now.
He is RJ Ochoa of Blogging the Boys, joining us here on San Antonio's Sports Star. So as we come into this weekend and look at the Jacksonville Jaguars and the difficulty that we saw last week in the Cowboys, whether it be offensively, defensively, however we look at it, this week we have some differences. Tyron's going to play. And at right tackle, we got Jason Peters and Ball. Now, I read a great article on Blogging the Boys regarding the possibility of them maybe platooning the two tackles or alternating them. Tell me what the thought process is behind that.
I think you have to. I mean, I think it's a little bit reckless to throw Jason Peters out there. I mean, people say
reckless.
This isn't Madden.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, people say this isn't Madden a lot, and it's become a bit of a trope, so I don't like to say that, but it isn't, right? You can't just like put in Jason Peters, turn off injuries, and like, you know, have the 80 overall tackle play for you the entire game. It's the NFL, and if the Cowboys want to win the Super Bowl, right? Like right now they're a wild card team. That'd be 8 more games. That's 8 games. Like, do we trust Jason Peters? 40 is not old, but it is old in this world. I mean, do we trust his 40-year-old body to make it 8 games at right tackle? I mean, it seems inconceivable, and so you're going to have to rely on Josh Ball, and that is terrifying. But this coaching staff, Joe Philbin, they've earned the benefit of the doubt. It's fair to trust them. This is the bed that they made. They believed in Josh Ball for whatever reason. But it would be reckless to just completely and totally throw Jason Peters out there and hope nothing bad happens.
Are you of the belief of all this talk that, I mean, in the Cowboys, I guess they kind of believe it, but I want to know what you think, that Dak has to be able to complete these passes over 10 yards and throw the deep ball to really make a run? Because I told Rob yesterday, you're 10-3. What do I care if Dalton Schultz catches the ball at 7 yards? What do I care? Because all I see is CeeDee Lamb making plays. I see Dalton Schultz making plays. If those plays they make are less than caught the ball less than 10 yards. What do I care? Where do you come out on this Dak deep ball over 10-yard stuff?
I don't know about like assigning like a particular distance to it, but you can certainly argue that there hasn't been a need to be this aggressive. I mean, and you can be in favor of it or against it, but I do think I think it's difficult to objectively deny that Dak is being more aggressive than we've seen from him in the past.
Right.
The best assessment of this that I've read has come from Bob Sturm of the Ticket and the Athletic. He's so incredible at this, and like, you know, and I'm not trying to accuse Dak of anything or get into his psyche, but is he trying to prove a point? Is he trying to prove like I'm fine, I can will the team, I've got the $40 million deal, I can live up to this, or is it just what he sees? Is it just what he evaluates in his own mind as the best possible option? But you know, the lowest hanging fruit is the sweetest for a reason, and you know, there's no reason to force these issues, and that's easy to say with the benefit of hindsight. You know, but because I can also argue, like, you've got this great defense, like, be aggressive, like, step on their throat, because if you throw a pick, like, that sucks, but you have a group behind you that can defend that can stand up and give you another opportunity, like what happened against Houston. Like,
if the season ended today, who's the MVP? I just want to hear you say it.
It's Jalen Hurts.
Oh,
I mean, there's no.
Just making sure. I'm just making sure.
But that's not that doesn't prove your point. Like, it's a different thing to say who's MVP. Like, the season he's had is remarkable.
Right.
Like, there's no question about it. I know that Micah's comment made the rounds. I will say and this is not an indictment on Jalen. I don't think he's the best player on that offense. I think AJ Brown is the best player on that offense. I mean, he might be the best receiver in the NFL right now. And I don't want to take any credit away from Jalen. But MVP is so much about narrative, Rudy. Like, there's MVP
for sure.
Like, you know that, like, you know, Michael Jordan, LeBron, Tom Brady, like, you know, coach of the
year,
like,
Patrick Mahomes.
Like, what's the new fresh thing? Like, you could argue Patrick Mahomes is neck for neck with Jalen Hurts right now, and they traded away Tyreek Hill. You know, when the Eagles traded for AJ Brown, drafted Devontae Smith. But, you know, there's Mahomes fatigue. Jalen's on the team with the best record. But I do think it will come down in many ways to next week's game against the Cowboys. I mean, it is going to be one of the most watched games of the year.
The most watched.
Flounder,
right.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to beat Thanksgiving. But
Thanksgiving was 42 million, yeah.
If the Eagles flounder and if Jalen plays poorly right there near the end of the season when everybody's watching, it does leave a taste in people's mouths. And that you can call that unfair. That's just the way the MVP voting tends to go sometimes. I think the dark horse is Joe Burrow. I mean, you know, the Bengals are getting hot, and they host the Bills in the penultimate week of the season on Monday Night Football. And so you talk about, like, stage and moment to kind of capture everybody's attention. It could be Burrow that night.
Talking about league MVP for Cowboy MVP, who knows? Cowboys have 9 straight games of 125 rushing yards, longest streaks the Cowboys have had in a single season since '74. When we look at the game, at the team and their playoff readiness, and we focus all our attention on TY and wide receiver help, and we look at the running game, how much will the addition of TY help the running game? And do you make much of the numbers that Dak has when he throws the ball over 10 yards that are just his QBRs at the bottom of the NFL? Will it help or will it subtract? You know what I mean?
I mean, I think it has to help. I mean, at the very least, I mean, nobody's like afraid of T.Y. Hilton, but he can run. Like, at the very least, if he can do one thing, he can run. He can technically exist as a threat to take the top over the defense, or off the defense rather, and open things up for CeeDee Lamb or Dalton Schultz or whoever it is underneath. I mean, it's a non-zero quantity that he helps, right? Like, is it massive? No, but he does help. He does improve your standing because you don't have a third receiver. Look, Noah Brown is awesome. I mean, like, I don't want to, you know, bag on Noah Brown, but like, let's be real. Like, it's next week is Christmas. Like, it's time to take this seriously. You can't go at this with Noah Brown. You can't go at this with James Washington. Jalen Tolbert has been, you know, a miss so far. You have to have an option, and T.Y. Hilton at least represents that.
Wow.
And prep for the Jacksonville Jaguars, what's the thing that they got to do to beat the Cowboys? Is it Etienne running the ball? Is it protecting it? We know their history when they turn the ball over. What do they got to do to beat the Cowboys instead of the Cowboys doing something to lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I think Trevor Lawrence has got to pick on Kelvin Joseph. I mean, he's maybe the worst starter on the team. I mean, why not? I mean, you know, people talk about Christian Kirk and whatever. They have a lot of weapons. I mean, Marvin Jones, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, like, that will be there all day. I mean, and so Trevor Lawrence is getting hot. Doug Peterson is an aggressive coach. And if you're an aggressive team with nothing to lose, I mean, the Cowboys are kind of the team that generally kind of tends to fall into that trap. Plus, the Cowboys have never won in Jacksonville. That's weird, right? Like, they've never won in Jacksonville.
I know that is weird, but Jacksonville's lost like 30 straight.
20 consecutive losses to NFC teams, the longest interconference losing streak since 1970, the merger.
Will Brock Purdy be the starter going forward for the rest of his life as a Niner? Is he the real deal, or is this beginner's luck?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's beginner's luck, but I mean, he didn't have to do a lot, right? Like, I mean, it's easy.
I agree with that.
I mean, it's easy to be great when your defense is playing that well. When Kyle Shanahan's your head coach, I mean, just exist, right? Just follow orders. Just fall in line. So that's what he's doing. Not everybody is in. Jared Goff did it for several years with the Rams. I mean, now Jared's playing very well, but that's all Brock Purdy's got to do right now.
He is RJ Ochoa, the editor there of Blogging the Boys, and old Rock the Mic champ, good friend of the show. So you got all the Christmas gifts ready, put together, got all the stickers on, everything that's replying?
I had no hand in that, but it is done. You know what I mean? Like, they do say from the Ochoa family, so like I do get partial credit, but that was my wife who took care of all the hard work. I sat there and probably got in the way more than anything. You just swipe. I'm the Brock Purdy in my household. She's the Kyle Shanahan. She's the Nick Bosa. That's the Nick Bosa I would trade for, to be very clear. But yeah, I am the Brock Purdy of this household.
Well, Brock Purdy, hope you have a pretty fine weekend. He's RJ Ochoa. We'll talk to him next week. Make sure you're following him on the socials and reading Blogging the Boys, or you can't call yourself a Dallas Cowboy fan now, can you? Thanks, RJ. Be safe. We'll talk to you next week.
I hope you guys have something delicious for lunch that has sauce involved.
When Rudy's involved, there's always sauce.
Yes, I am saucy.